I'm ignoring your existence from today. That's what the note stuck on the front door said. After a series of exhausting shifts, this felt like another blow from my wife and daughter, who act like I don't even exist. I still believed we could return to the good old days when we got along well, until I understand the real intentions of my wife and daughter. As a first step to my retaliation, I cut off the electricity and water to the house. My wife was furious and confronted me. My name is Tim, and I'm 55 years old. I run a small advertising agency in a traditional neighborhood of New York, including part-time and temporary staff. We have 11 employees. It's a family-like company where people from their 20s to their 60s work. Certainly more comfortable than my own home. 5 years ago, I remarried Kathy, who was 15 years younger than me. Kathy had a daughter, Mary, who was in 5th grade at the time, and I welcomed her into our home as my stepdaughter. Since I had no children from my previous marriage, Mary became my first child, even though she was a stepchild. At first, I was worried about whether she would accept me as her father. But from the first time we met, she called me dad and adored me. Thinking of Mary as my own daughter, I would leave work no matter how busy I was, rush to her track meets, and ready my camera to capture her brave moments. Mary is starting high school this year. It should be an exciting time, but unfortunately, our family relationship has completely cooled off during 5 years of marriage. I know the reason. I was always too caught up in work, leaving the house unattended often. It was the same with my previous marriage. Back then, I was in my 30s, much younger, working as a corporate employee for a major company. After work, I would often go out for drinks with colleagues and superiors or entertain clients. It was routine for me to come home in the early hours of the morning. Then, one day, my wife left, leaving behind a divorce note. Years after divorcing my first wife, I became independent and thought I could never marry again. But then, Kathy, my current wife, came into my life. I had intended to cherish this relationship more than ever, but in recent weeks, work has been so busy that I haven't been able to return home at all. No, the distance from home to the office is only about a 30-minute drive, so if I really tried, I could have made it home. However, feeling unwelcome by my family, I continued to stay overnight at the office. In fact, whenever I did go home, Kathy would just say indifferently, "Oh, you're back," without any dinner prepared, and there was hardly any conversation beyond the necessary. Still, I tried to talk to my family as much as possible. I'm sorry for always coming back at odd hours. Hey, I might be able to get the next weekend off for a long weekend. How about we take a family trip to a hot spring, just the 3 of us? However, Kathy's response came back with a forced smile. You don't need to come, Mary and I will go as usual. Besides, young kids aren't interested in hot springs these days. Is that so? I found myself at a loss for words. Kathy's coldness was one thing, but Mary's attitude was even worse. On the rare occasions we did meet in the house, even if I greeted her with a smile, she only responded with a look of annoyance. It was like the reaction one might have to an unknown man trying to start a conversation on the street. Don't look so upset. Seeing you smile would blow all the fatigue from my work away. What? That's super creepy. I'm not just upset. I genuinely dislike you. Go away. Crushed by her words, I turned to Kathy for advice. Mary recently told me she hates me. She used to call me dad when she was in elementary school, but now she won't even talk to me, I said. Kathy answered with a frown. That's just how it is, isn't it? All girls her age are like that. It was the cold response I expected. But I've sworn not to give up on this family relationship. I guess so. If she kept calling me dad, she might never get a boyfriend. By the way, does Mary have a boyfriend? She's beautiful like you, so she must be popular, I joked. However, my attempt at humor backfired, and Kathy, looking displeased, said, That kind of prying is just creepy. Mary has her own life. And besides, she's naturally wary since you're not her real father. Wary? She means she doesn't trust you. And please, don't call Mary cute or anything like that. It could be taken the wrong way. Kathy's harsh words left me feeling utterly dejected. What can I do to regain the trust of my family? I truly wondered. I felt that I needed to spend more time and truly engage with my family, or it might be too late. I've thought about retiring and handing over my business to an acquaintance when I turn 60. Then, I plan to take Kathy and Mary on a luxury cruise around the world. Of course, this is intended as a reward for Mary if she gets into college, but I plan to take her regardless. To show her that life's happiness isn't just about getting into a good college and landing a job at a top company. I once mentioned to Kathy that I was thinking about letting go of the company. She showed her anger. What are you talking about? If you give up the company, how will we live? Do you know how much more money it will take? Of course, I know, but we should have enough savings. It should cover all the expenses for Mary's education. Plus, I'm not pulling out completely, so it'll be fine. I won't let you guys suffer, I assured her. Savings? Kathy suddenly fell silent. Yes, the account I gave you when we got married. We were supposed to use it for our future. That's long gone. I've used it up, she admitted. I felt as if I had been hit on the head with a hammer. Used up? What about Mary's future then? Kathy just smirked and said, You just need to keep working hard until you drop. That's the best service you can provide for your family. Don't think about anything else, just work and make us happy. That's your mission. She said with a smile that felt terrifying to me. What she wanted wasn't a father. I was just a source of income to her. No, but in this world, there are plenty of men who are fathers only in name, whose reality is just to earn money. I wanted to believe I was different, but having heard that from Kathy, I had to accept it. One night, after another long stretch of work, I came home exhausted. There was a note on the front door. Starting today, I'm ignoring your existence. I slowly peeled the paper off the door and tucked it into my shoe. When I entered the house, just as declared, both my wife and daughter did not react to me at all. It was as if I had become invisible. Naturally, no meal was prepared, so I spread out a convenience store meal I bought on the way home on the dining table and started eating. Suddenly wanting a beer, I opened the refrigerator only to find not a single one left. But that wasn't all. The snacks and dried foods I had bought to go with the beer had all been thrown away. It seemed they had truly decided to ignore me. Still, I wanted to live happily with my family like we used to. The fond memories are still there in my heart. No matter the treatment I received, I was determined to genuinely engage with my family. But the time came when that resolve was shattered. Mary was starting high school, and I had vowed to take the day off work to attend the ceremony. The response was yet another note. Do not come to the entrance ceremony. If you do, I will hate you forever. As I peeled off the paper, I pondered how things had come to this. No matter how much I thought about it, I couldn't find an answer. Desperate to see Mary on her big day, I secretly followed them. And then I discovered a shocking truth. After the entrance ceremony, Kathy and Mary went into a cafe, so I followed them in and sat next to them, hiding while listening to their cheerful conversation. Has he been creepy to you lately, Mom? I'm really worried about you. No, sometimes I feel his creepy stares, but the ignoring strategy seems to be working. He stopped talking to us. That's good. I'm sorry, Mary, for making you call someone else Dad. He was generous with money though, thanks to that, but that was all he was ever really for. I just wanted to secure our future. There was nothing to recover. It had all been a lie from the start. Overwhelmed by the shock, I couldn't move from that spot even after they had left. Learning the truth brought not only shock but a surge of strong indignation. The anger was so intense I couldn't contain it. I never thought I would be this stressed over not being loved. I headed straight to the real estate agency and proceeded to cancel the lease on my apartment. It was spring, a busy time for moving. The sudden cancellation surprised the agent, but the apartment was close to the station, spacious and well lit. It would likely find a new tenant quickly. I also called to have the utilities like water and electricity disconnected. Instead of going home, I decided to stay at my office. The next day, Kathy and Mary came to my office, visibly upset. The electricity and water are shut off. What's going on? Don't tell me you haven't been paying the bills. You've never paid any bills yourself, have you? I did it on purpose. I've also canceled the apartment lease, so you both need to move out by the end of this month, and we're getting a divorce. I said, without any inflection, speaking all at once. Hearing this, Kathy's face turned red with anger. Divorce? What are you talking about? You can't just say something like that all of a sudden and expect it to happen. It's not all of a sudden. You only married me for a comfortable life, right? And she laughed at me behind my back, happy to make her call me dad. What are you saying? What's wrong with you? You're different. Something's off. Kathy's words made me let out a dry laugh. Hot, wasn't it you who always called me creepy? Now you won't have to live with a creepy man anymore. You two should enjoy your lives together. You still have the money I gave you when we got married, right? Plus the salary I've been giving you every month. All the savings are yours. But I told you. I've almost used that up already. What are you even saying now? You should be grateful you even have a family. Supporting that family is just expected. I'm not going to divorce you. Her refusal to divorce left me feeling conflicted. Then I noticed Mary watching us argue from a distance. She was glaring at me, trembling. Anyway, get the electricity and water back on now. Even if we're moving, we have 2 weeks until the end of the month. We can't even live properly. You can call them yourself, dispose of my things. You're used to getting rid of my stuff, aren't you? I hardly have anything significant. I often stayed at the office, so my clothes and essentials are here. Huff, planning to live in that cramped break room at your office? I shook my head. I have a house I bought during my first marriage. I plan to live there now. I'm still paying off the mortgage. It was a mansion I bought all enthusiastic for the family. Paying off that mortgage might take a lifetime. A mansion? Kathy's eyes suddenly sparkled. Now that I think about it, she had the same expression when we first met. We met at a club in downtown New York. When she learned I was a CEO, her eyes lit up. Back then, Kathy was in her late 30s. Among the younger women there, she must have been the most desperate. And with a child at that time, she must have thought things were going to be tough. She must have seen me as an easy mark. A mansion? What are you talking about? I've never heard such a thing. Of course, you haven't heard because I never mentioned it. But trying to take it would be futile. It was purchased before our marriage, so it's not considered marital property. If you want to seek alimony, go ahead. I'll hire a lawyer and fight you. What an ugly thing it is for a married couple to fight like this. I really don't want to go through a divorce trial. But now that I know the family with Kathy was a lie from the start, I see no other path but to face this reality. I'll certainly be claiming alimony. Cutting off the electricity and water and telling us to leave all of a sudden is just too harsh. And I'll make sure you pay child support for Mary. With that, Kathy spat out her words and took Mary with her as they left. Given her high pride, I braced myself for a long battle. But just a few days later, she abruptly sent over the divorce papers, and the divorce was smoothly finalized. If you want a divorce, I'll agree to it. I won't ask for alimony or child support. I'll dispose of all the household items. Farewell then. That was the last call I received from her. Most likely, Kathy has moved on to live with a new man. If it were just about moving, disposing of all the household items would be odd. She's probably starting a new life somewhere with a new man. But now, it doesn't matter to me anymore. Whatever happens with Kathy and whoever she's with, it has no bearing on me. Feeling downhearted, I returned for the first time in years to the mansion in downtown New York. How many years has it been since I last set foot here? The interior was still pristine, and with all the household items intact, it was ready to live in right away. No, since that day, time in this house had stopped. 10 years ago, the day my first wife, Amy, left just a divorce notice and walked out, reluctantly, I have to thank Kathy. Otherwise, I never would have set foot in this house again. I told Kathy it was a house to live in, but honestly, I never intended to live here alone. The thought of living alone in such a large house is chilling. Besides, it's ridiculous to keep paying a mortgage on an uninhabited house. I plan to contact the real estate agent tomorrow to discuss selling it. It may not be worth as much as when I bought it, but that can't be helped. Just being willing to let it go feels like progress. Then, my phone rang. It was Amy. Staring at the caller ID, I felt disbelief, having resolved never to see her name again. I never imagined that on the day I returned to the house we used to share, she would call. And then, almost reflexively, I answered the phone. "Hello." I could hear my voice trembling. It had been 10 years since I last spoke with Amy. "Is that you, Tim? It's been a while. How have you been?" Her familiar voice tightened my heart. "Yeah, it's been a long time. Are you doing well, Amy?" As I spoke, memories of our time together flooded my mind. I really loved her. I met Amy 2 years after I joined a major corporation. She was still a college student, and we met through an acquaintance. Even then, Amy was kind and beautiful, popular with everyone. It felt like a miracle that she, a sought-after beauty, and I, an average-looking guy from a big company, became a couple. I was really happy, especially because she said she liked me first. I was truly happy. After Amy graduated from college, we got married. With a promise in mind, I bought a mansion that was beyond my means at the time. We built a large and spacious house with the thought that we could live there comfortably, even as we aged and had a family. Although we struggled to have children, our happiness did not diminish, and we spent our days getting along well. However, as I mentioned initially, my business commitments and work led to me spending more time away from home. Amy was on sick leave from her job at that time. In hindsight, leaving her alone in such a large house, merely waiting for my return, might have been unhappy for her. I did not seriously consider Amy's feelings. I thought it was enough that I provided for her financially. And finally, taking just a few personal belongings, Amy disappeared. At that time, I felt not only shock but also anger rising within me. Despite never having made her struggle financially, the way she suddenly fled the marriage as if running away makes me question how she could consider a person's feelings. There's a reason why such thoughts occur to me. It seems to stem from my childhood home environment. After Amy left, I was mentally devastated and ended up resigning from my job. It took a while to recover, and during my therapy sessions, we discussed my parents. The doctor said your father was quite authoritarian towards the family, and you were affected by that. I recalled my childhood. My dad was a learning office worker. Yet, he barely contributed to the household, spent nights out drinking, and gambled away weekends. Our family finances were always in dire straits. And my mom struggled, working multiple part-time jobs to scrape together enough for my tuition. I could never forgive my father, but I chose not to retaliate. Instead, I poured myself into my studies. Becoming more successful than my father and securing a position at a major corporation, so that my mother wouldn't have to worry about money, was my form of revenge. I made it to a prestigious university, but before I could exact my revenge, my father suddenly passed away from a serious illness. It was unexpected. Suddenly deprived of my goal, I lost sight of why I had worked so hard up to that point. It was Amy who gave me a new direction in life. "You should live your life for yourself," she told me. Having lost Amy too, I clung to this house out of a sense of lingering attachment. I had even hoped that she might come back someday. when I married Kathy, that thought wasn't entirely absent. Of course, I tried to be a good father for them, but somewhere in my heart, I always remembered this house. I've been working overseas all this time, and I just got back last week. Suddenly, I felt nostalgic and ended up calling. I'm sorry to disturb you, knowing you have a family. No, not anymore. I'm divorced. I've lost everything again. Then I heard a gasp from the other end of the phone. Following that, Amy's voice choked up, and she suddenly started crying. What's wrong, Amy? Are you okay? Surprised, I immediately expressed concern for her. I'm sorry, I was scared. At that time, I was very frightened, she said. Scared? What were you scared of? Was it because I wasn't coming home, making you feel anxious? I was truly sorry for that. I was young and didn't understand what was most important. No, it wasn't because of that. Actually, I was troubled every day because we couldn't have children. You had provided a wonderful home, and I felt I couldn't live up to it. I was filled with guilt. I had no idea she had been feeling so burdened. We had never really discussed having children. I just thought it would happen when it happened. I had no idea you felt that way. Just being able to live with you was enough for me. I felt the same way. I've always regretted our divorce. If you'd like, can we try living together again? I said, gathering my courage. After all the turmoil with Kathy and her family, I was afraid of getting hurt again, but I didn't want to have any regrets. Give me some time to think, she said. Of course, take all the time you need. I don't want to make you regret anything ever again, I responded. Besides, my battle wasn't over yet. No, I hadn't seen the end of it. A few days later, as expected, I got a call from Kathy. I've decided I'm going to claim alimony. Your actions have made our lives a mess. I wondered how she could say such a thing. I was the one who had been through the worst. What's the rush? Let me guess. Your new man ran off, didn't he? Now you're planning to squeeze more money out of me. Kathy clearly panicked. A new man? What are you talking about? Pretending not to know won't help. Sorry, but I hired a detective agency to investigate you. It was odd how you suddenly didn't want alimony after making such a fuss about it during the divorce. I have evidence. Can you still talk about alimony? Eck. Kathy was at a loss for words. I feel like I should be the one asking for alimony. But there's Mary. Regardless of you, I don't want to burden her life. For Mary's sake, you should seriously think about how you live your life. Then Kathy handed the phone to Mary. Sorry, Daddy, I didn't mean for it to be like this. Please, don't abandon Mom. Still planning to use such underhanded tactics with our daughter. Sadness welled up beyond my indignation. Listen, Mary, from now on, you and Mom need to work together honestly. You shouldn't try to rely on a man's help. It usually leads to unhappiness. But at my words, the next moment, Mary scoffed with a huff. Do you think I'm a child to be underestimated? Mom too. Really, I hate adults. I'm so done. I hate everyone. She shouted, and then a loud noise came through the phone. She probably threw her cell phone. It seemed to have broken because the call was disconnected. And after that, she never called again. This seemingly resolves the matter for now, but there's still something I haven't revealed. In fact, my claim that I had hired a detective agency to investigate Kathy was a lie. I didn't need to do such a thing, as I was already certain she had a new man. Why? Because I was the one who had orchestrated the introduction of this new man to Kathy. Having tasted wealth, it was inconceivable that she would return to a normal job. But now no longer young, I thought she would cling to any man who had money. So I set a trap by introducing an actor into the situation. Kathy fell for it splendidly, getting carried away and declaring she needed neither alimony or child support. Everything went exactly as planned. Since she had been deceiving me all along, I figured deceiving her in the end wouldn't be unjust. However, deceiving someone like Kathy did not bring me any joy. All I was left with was a profound sense of emptiness that words could not describe. Later, I heard that Kathy had nowhere to go and returned to her parents' home. At her family home, her brother and his wife were living with and caring for their elderly parents, and it was arranged that she could stay there in exchange for helping with their care. But that arrangement didn't last long. Kathy had always had a poor relationship with her parents, having run away from home as if she were escaping. She had always resented her parents, and they had never forgiven their daughter. It wasn't long before a tragic incident occurred during her caregiving, which soon became a topic of household gossip. Mary, whose mother was arrested, was placed with other relatives. Despite her youth, she faced severe challenges, but perhaps it was for the best that she distanced herself from Kathy's influence. I sincerely hope Mary can start again in a new family environment. By the time summer had passed, Amy arrived at my mansion. Although it was news to me, Amy had a son who was in 5th grade. Her request for time to think was actually about this reality. I was so happy when you said you wanted to live together, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you about my son. What are you talking about, Amy? Your son is my son too. Now, I can truly feel this way. I'll never forget the first time I saw Amy's son peeking out from behind her. He looked troubled, glancing at Amy's face and then fleetingly at me. Look, Kenny, this is your dad from today. Go on, say hello. Amy encouraged, prompted by his mother. The confused boy hesitated, so I spoke up. You don't have to think of me as your dad right away. Welcome to our home, Kenny. I extended my hand to the boy, silently promising to take my time in helping us becoming a family.